In today's business world, being an average CEO is no longer an option. That's why we're committed to equipping you with the resources and the tactics necessary to not just survive, but to thrive. You're listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline podcast, where we are more than just a voice in the crowd. Hi, everyone. As always, another episode here of Not Your Average CEO Lifeline. Danielle and I are talking today about a really important topic that I'm not sure comes front of mind for every CEO or executive leader. The topic today is I've got it syndrome. When you are consistently saying with confidence, I've got it, I'm handling it, don't worry about it. We're going to talk today about the cost of that and what you can do to adjust it and why you should be adjusting it. I want to preface our episode today with saying that Danielle and I have a quiz that you can take. So if you feel that this is something that's ringing a bell with you, I say this quite often. Am I delegating my work? Should I be delegating my work? Danielle and I have developed a custom quiz that will determine what you should be delegating, who should you be delegating it to. And we will include that link in the show notes. So please take advantage of it. It is complimentary and it will be customized to your answers. So please take your time if you are going to do it to review it and do it right. So that being said, do you have it? Do you not have it? What is the I've got it syndrome? It is someone who is refusing to delegate key tasks that are not within your genius zone or don't need to be within your genius zone, tasks that are perhaps admin level or uh, someone else could be doing it better. And I know sometimes that's hard to receive that, oh my gosh, maybe someone on my team could do this more effectively or efficiently. Or perhaps if your team is consulting with you or you're consulting with an outside expert or a coach and you're saying, we're good. I don't need to talk about finances, or I'm good. I don't need to talk about marketing, with no metrics to back that up. Perhaps it's psychological. You don't want to lose control. You don't trust anyone else. It's a power or an ego motivation behind it. But regardless, there are a lot of hidden costs behind it. And I know Danielle, as a CEO, can speak to what those costs are. So Danielle, I spoke a lot. I would love to know, what you see as the I've got it syndrome and how it could really cost our listeners who are saying, yes, that's me.
Yes. So Nicole brought me in to talk about the damage. So what's the damage of when you are saying, yeah, I've got it, I can take care of it? I think the first thing is missed growth opportunities. And that's not always very clear because you don't know what you're missing. But when you are too in the weeds, you are not doing the big picture vision work. You just can't. There's only so many hours in the day. And you're sort of putting out small fires, you're patching holes, so to speak, but you're not actually navigating the business where it needs to go. And you can be missing out on a lot of opportunities. And if you're not growing, you're going backwards, is something that we always say. So you could be missing a lot of things there just by being too in the weeds. Next, there's burnout. And you've probably heard that yourself, heard that term for yourself and hear about burnout for CEOs, burnout for leaders. But I want to talk about the burnout that your team gets. So if they don't feel trusted by you, so they don't feel that you trust them to do A, B, and C, they're starting to feel disengaged. They're just waiting for direction. They're waiting to be told what to do. They're not going to bring you ideas. They're not going to bring you solutions. They're not going to bring you things that can make things go faster or more automated or improve upon things. They're just going to hold back, disengage, and be burnout. So it's not just your burnout to think about, it's the team's burnout. And that's a huge one. And then finally, decision bottlenecks. So you've heard about bottlenecking in your business and not being the bottleneck. But decision bottlenecks are when every single little thing has to pass through you. You're basically holding your business hostage because you won't let an email go out, a social media post go out, any sort of thing go out, any type of communication without going through you first. You are just holding everything back. And that's where your team's losing trust, maybe your client's losing trust in you, your team doesn't feel ownership. They're saying to themselves, I know he or she will just take it over anyway, so why am I going to do my best here? Um, and it can really bring in a lot of fears, but ultimately it's stalling your growth. And I know Nicole mentioned that have developed a quiz for folks, and we'll share information about that. But I'll let Nicole now talk about what we're calling sort of the leadership self-check. And this will all tie in and give you some essential questions to ask yourself. They may be a little uncomfortable, but they're very important.
Thanks, Danielle. The point that I really love is the opportunity that you're missing if you are not letting your team flourish. There's just so many missed opportunities there. So, talking about, a self checklist, I'm going to ask you some reflective questions and I'd like you to just take a moment to think about them. One, am I the only one with access to this knowledge or process? Two, would my business function without me for 2 weeks? Three, when was the last time I asked for outside insight or support? Lastly, do you say, and I'm going to put quotes up, I've got it out loud, or are you consistently thinking it? I'm going to invite you to take notes. You can read, listen to this back, watch this back, and really ask yourselves and write down those questions, the answers to those questions. It's going to be enlightening for you. And, like Danielle and I have said, if you come to the conclusion, oh my gosh, I'm doing way more, I need time back in my day to do high level visionary work, use our delegation tool. That is there for you. And it's something that will also help you move through this. So, excuse me, say you have done all of this. Danielle, can you help give our audience some tips that you found will help you break this I've got you habit?
Yes. So I think, as Nicole said, there are those questions to ask yourself, and you can ask yourself, you can ask your COO, a trusted employee, your partner, a spouse, just asking yourself, journaling those. But the answers to those questions are really important. And I think very importantly, you want to find yourself. Are you the leader of your company, or are you just the busiest employee at your company? Because there is a big difference there. And so be really honest with yourself when you answer those questions, because the busiest employee at your company is not going to help grow the company. It's not going to take you where you want to be at the end of this year, at the end of a few years. You're just going to keep spinning your wheels and not actually leading your company into growth. But let's talk a little bit about you've answered those questions. You've figured out if you're the leader, the CEO, or just the busiest employee, and now you want to know how to break the habit. Um, so starting with delegating, but doing it visibly. So instead of just handing something off to Jacqueline, for example, you're going to say to yourself, to your team, Jacqueline's taking this piece over. She has the full decision-making power. She has full autonomy. She's handling this piece of our business now. And you're showing your team what trust really looks like. You're showing them that you have the confidence in this employee, just using Jacqueline as an example, and you're making it known to everyone in the team. So that'll help with some of the things that we touched on before, like the team burnout. Building systems. So this can be something you don't have to do this on your own because it can sound scary. Your VA, your OBM can do it, but using metrics, dashboards, processes, plans, those systems should become your new version of, don't worry, I've got it, I'm handling it. But it's based in systems, not just you grabbing more things in your business and adding them to your to-do list. Two more things I would say. Creating a culture of feedback. So this is something that we've worked really hard at Virtual Assist USA on, but encouraging the team to solve problems, not just escalate them back to you. So encouraging your team to say, I have this problem. Here's one or two solutions that I thought of for it. Are you good with these solutions? Rather than, hey, I have this problem. Like, I'm just going to give it to you and you figure it out what to do for me. So you're creating a culture of feedback and autonomy, not dependence on you as the CEO. And last but certainly not least, finding your operational partner. So that can be a COO like Nicole, it can be an OBM, it can be a very well organized VA that you trust. Um, just getting yourself someone, one person who can take the reins in those key areas. Think of that person as an operational partner. You don't need to think, I need to build a team of 5 or 10 people. Just that one person who can take some key areas off your plate. And thinking about instead of saying, I've got it, I'm handling it, you're saying, hey, I'm not going to handle this, but I know who on my team is going to handle it, or I know who's going to take care of it. Or I'm not going to handle this, but I have a system in place that will, and it's going to go through this process. So try those two sort of powerful mindset shifts as well, to hopefully make a big difference.
When you're talking to your team, Danielle, let me know if you agree, but I see a lot of people who are trying to do this just assume that your team members will take over or take ownership or accountability. And there's always, to me, a lack of formality to it where you're telling your team member, I would like you to own this. I would like you to own it because I'm giving you this process, I'm giving you this system. I think it may be awkward for some CEOs to have that formal discussion with someone, but it's imperative for setting expectations that you have it to say, I would love to pass all of this to you because X, Y, and Z. I know you can own it. What types of questions do you have? And also giving verbally the space for them to tell you what they think, to have that feedback for you, right? When you come to me with a problem, I would love to see what you feel should be a solution. You have to verbally say it. You can't just expect that because you're passing it to them, they're not going to pass it back to you, right? Having this actual communication is vital, in my opinion. Would you agree, Danielle? Have you seen that there's like hesitation between really actually saying it out loud?
Absolutely. We see that a lot with CEOs, like in real world, case studies. Absolutely.
So to wrap things up a little bit and a challenge for you, letting go is not failure. It is evolution, it is scalability, it is elevating your team. So, our challenge for you from listening to this episode, while we did ask the self checklist questions, really sit down and identify one area this week where you've said, I've got it, but you could have delegated that. You could have sent this an email, forwarded an email and asked a team member to do it, or seek support. Talk to a peer, talk to a coach, something that you're opening up and being vulnerable to what you think you've got it, right? Even if you think your marketing is the best it could be, talking to someone to say, do I really have this? Is this the best it can be? That is our challenge for the week. Danielle, do you have any last minute thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, I think just keep, giving yourself that challenge, where you're, identifying one thing and then immediately do something about that. So either delegate it again to a trusted, like operational partner on your team, automate it, or you can ask for help from someone. Um, and I think it helps if you tell someone that you're going to be embarking on this. Again, that can be your spouse, your partner, a really good friend, someone in your business, but just telling them, I'm changing this in my business. I'm changing this in how I lead. It really will help, yourself be held accountable, I think.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode today. Again, if you are interested in uh, really diving deep and seeing where you could delegate and break this habit, the link to our complimentary quiz is in the show notes. And we look forward to talking to you about more of this. We have an upcoming episode on burnout and hope that you dive into that one as well. You've been listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline with your hosts Danielle Cuomo, CEO, and Nicole Gallicchio-Elz, COO. This podcast has been sponsored by Virtual Assist USA. If you'd like to know more about the hosts or exploring virtual assistant services, visit virtualassistusa.com for more information.